This week, we're going to begin reading Alan Patton's novel, Cry the Beloved Country. I've chosen this novel as an example of narrative because it blends a number of different elements: beautiful description, an interesting story, captivating characters, and timeless themes. The author's voice is lovely and distinct, and in different sections, the voice and point of view changes. You'll have a longer amount of reading each day for a couple weeks, but since it's in novel form, I trust it will go much more quickly than some of the non-fiction passages that you've read so far and won't feel quite as burdensome. During the second week that we read it, I'll ask you to write a rhetorical analysis essay of a passage from the story. And then during the third and final week, I'll be giving you a short quiz on the book, about 10 short answer questions just to make sure that you've read it and had some time to think about it. This week, we'll also be doing a multiple choice practice test. Be sure you've read the section in your Cliffs book about the multiple choice section. I assigned this a few weeks ago. And note that you should guess on every question because the College Board does not deduct points for incorrect answers. So in order to give everyone credit for their work on this test and to inspire you all to do your best, I'm going to give you a scaled grade of somewhere between 80 and 100 based on how well you do. So the lowest score in the class will get an 80, and the highest score will get a 100, and the others will all be scaled in between those two numbers. So please be honest and take the test within the time limits. Don't read the passages ahead of time, and don't change your answers after you grade your test. I will change the weight and the grading of these later in the year, but this is a good place to start for our first attempt. This week you'll also be reading an essay of Virginia Woolf's called Portrait of a Londoner, which is about an English woman. And I've chosen this one because I'd like you to consider the way an author fashions his characters through rhetoric. You'll be considering both a woman in this story and also Stephen Khumalo in Cry the Beloved Country for your discussion board post this week. Next week, I'll be asking you to come up with an idea for your descriptive project. This is the major writing assignment for this trimester. You're going to write a descriptive account of an experience that you've had, or something like one you've had. So I want you to start thinking about your concept for your project now, and so I'm going to give you some details about what I'm looking for to get some of your juices flowing and so you can plan ahead. So this is a major project. It will count for 30% of your overall grade for the trimester, and thus it's worth 10% of your year's final grade. What I want you to do is to choose an event, an experience, an encounter, or something along those lines that you've had that will become a foundation for your concept and your project. You aren't limited to reality on this one. You're welcome to alter elements or to include fictitious concepts in your piece as well if you want to, though the choice of whether to do so or not is yours. It's fine to just report something as it is, and certainly there are many things in your life that would be good descriptions without altering them. But if you feel like your life is too dull, you're welcome to spice things up a little bit. So rather than focused on plot like a narrative would be, I would like this piece to be very inclusive of detail, impression, and mood, although there certainly can be plot elements present depending on what happens in your description. It doesn't need to be events necessarily. It can just be a descriptive explanation of events occurring. If you check on the website for the examples essays, you'll find some excellent ones that students wrote last year about really varied concepts, and that could give you some good ideas to get a foundation for what you might want to say. The project should be 6 to 10 pages in length using Times New Roman font, 12-point, double-spaced, and check out the How This Class Works document for a reminder on the specifics of all those things if you need to. As you write your description, I'm going to ask you to use 10 different narrative or rhetorical devices. I'd like you to footnote each of these devices and provide a commentary on which device you're using and what its purpose is in your piece. If you don't know how to insert a footnote in Microsoft Word, you can use the insert or reference menu to find that, or ask me and I can help you find on your particular version if you need help. So at the culmination of your project, I'm also going to ask you to present it to an audience, and your family is certainly a fine audience unless you want to take it anywhere further. So I'd just like you to read it aloud to them, just to be able to hear it spoken and to perceive how someone would receive it, and then ask them for feedback. How poignant was your description? How well did you use rhetoric? And I'll ask you to post on the discussion board just to describe your piece's effectiveness and your audience response to it. So next week I'll ask you to submit a 1-paragraph description of what you plan to write about. And then the following week you'll write a 2/3 draft of your project. That'll be most of your assignment that week. You'll exchange it with a partner for peer review. And then the following week you'll complete your project and you will deliver it, and you'll post on the discussion board explaining how it went. So this is a fun project, and I hope it'll be a chance for you to display all that you've learned about rhetoric and its powers for description and some narrative elements as well. And I'll post many, if not all of these on the website for you to enjoy so that you can see one another's at their completion.